People see me and think they're safer. But it's not really me they're seeing. Probably for the best. Knowing everything hinges on a guy from Queens sounds as scary as it feels. No pressure, right?
Those were simpler times back then, weren't they? 2016 was truly an interesting year. It was a year of screeching wokies, and I mean, it certainly was an interesting year for me. Ugh. Anyway, I remember when this trailer first came out, I remember thinking to myself, holy shit, this game's gonna be absolutely fucking tits. So fast forward 2 years later, and Spider-Man PS4 is only a mere 8 days away. And where was I? I was on the other side of the pond, living it up in dirty New York fucking city.
Get close with the lights down low, you and I and no one else. I get the feeling that I wanna explode. Baby, you got my attention, sunshine burning fever. Take me to another dimension tonight.
Hey guys, it's your boy here, DoctorSayce's, back once again with the ill fucking behavior, and how are you wonderful people? I hope you're all happy and healthy. So today I thought I'd do a video on Insomniac's Spider-Man. Now allow me to give you my backstory with this game. Now I was hyped for this game from day one, when it was announced at E3 2016. Now I initially took interest mainly for the Uncharted 4 gameplay, but when I was watching E3 I saw that Insomniac were announcing a new game. Now of course Insomniac are well known for the Resistance franchise, but they're also known for Ratchet and Clank and for the Spyro games. So when I heard they were making a new game, I was intrigued to say the least. But I never expected my wildest dreams that I'd be as hyped for this game as I was. Now, if you know me personally, you'll know from the years of 2016 to 2018, I was non-stop getting a Joe Rogan boner for this game. You would have thought with how much I was talking about this game, you'd think that I would have been sticking my dick in the PS4 disc tray upon it arriving. And fat when knacking on the disc. Whoa, man. You better fucking scrub them butts for that last yodsom, like. Suffice to say, I was excited for this game. So fast forward to 2018, a little over a week before release, I was being a dirty British tourist, an Englishman in New York. And I did the whole shebang, smoking binds while walking around Manhattan, listening to fat beats. Also bumped into a guy who just came out of Rikers Island and asked me for $1. Really nice guy, by the way. And if you're watching, good sir, I hope someone gave you that $1 and I hope life is treating you well. So once I returned for an 8-hour flight from JFK Airport, another hour flight from London to Aberdeen, and a further 2-hour journey from Aberdeen back home, I burst into my house and was like, well, I was like this. Where is it? Where the fuck is it? Oh, hey Stace, I was in New York. Shut the fuck up, you filthy ingrate! Get the fuck out! Good to see you too, Stace. With that said, what did I think of the game when it first came out? Well, after I stopped wanking over it for the 17th time in a row, it was great. Actually, it was better than great. It was amazing. Some would say spectacular. Okay, I'll see myself out. But in all seriousness, the game is fantastic, and Insomniac really did do a job with the game. Like, I'm not exaggerating, but I'm inclined to think that people would agree with me that this is the best Spider-Man game in 16 years, with Spider-Man 2 on PS2 coming a very, very close second. Everything from the swinging mechanics, which you can literally get lost for hours doing, the story, which was just pure fucking potency. Except for those MJ and Miles missions, they were fucking wank, but I'll get to those. And those fucking circuit puzzle things as well, they were just fucking wank as well. But the DLC makes up for that, but I'll get to that in due time. Granted, at times the swinging mechanics and even the fighting mechanics can be a little bit mongy and janky at times, but especially when you get towards the end of the game and you've locked all the skills. But to be honest, it's nothing major, and with all that said, the game is pretty easy to master. And the New Game Plus is just absolutely potent, especially when you unlock all the suits on your first playthrough like I did. Which brings me on to my next point, the progression system in this game, which was an absolute heaven sent. Take note, other developers, this is how you make a good and rewarding progression system. The fact you can unlock all the suits by simply just playing the game and collecting crime and bag tokens was something really refreshing to see. Especially after years of game companies ramming pay to win and loot boxes down our fucking throats all the goddamn time. Regardless, the game did the reward system justice, so well done Insomniac. Don't fuck it up for the next one, okay? Now, I also want to mention the boss fights in this game, which are just... mwah, they're honestly just fucking amazing. Now, the boss fights were actually my main concern before this game was released, but my worries were quickly put to rest after playing it. To mention some of my favorite boss fights, the Shocker boss fight was just absolutely potent. Some would say, Shocker boom, perfect. Shocker boom! The Rhino and Scorpion was just amazing. The Electro and Vulture boss fight was just pure aesthetic pleasure. The final fight with Doc Ock was just god tier. And the Mr. Negative boss fight was actually an unexpected and welcome surprise, especially the second one on the train. My only gripe with the boss battles would be that they were in pairs towards the end. Apparently the original plan was that each boss would be fought separately, and that you would have to take on each member of the Sinister Six separately. Which I don't mind, but considering they had time to put in those shitty wank MJ and Miles and circuit puzzle missions, but not enough time to have separate boss battles. Now that's the good stuff out of the way, now it's time to move on to stuff that's just fucking wank about this game. So as I mentioned before, the MJ and Miles missions are just absolutely fucking insufferable. I actually didn't mind the characters MJ and Miles in this. However, MJ was a little annoying at times, and the on and off relationship with her and Peter was just a little bit fucking grating. Because you can tell that she wanted to be with Peter again, but she was just like, nah, I'm just gonna play hard to get because... just because. The only version of Miles I liked was the Into the Spider-Verse version, and even then I've always just maintained the opinion that Miles Morales is basically just a black Peter Parker, which, you know, is not a bad thing, it's just not for me. But again, as I mentioned earlier, Insomniac claimed they didn't have enough time to have individual boss fights for the Sinister Six, but found time to put these shitty MJ and Miles missions in. It just feels like a bit of a slap in the face, to be honest. Like, I play Spider-Man for Spider-Man, not the side adventures of MJ and Miles. And that also goes for the very repetitive and fucking tedious circuit puzzle and detective puzzle missions. They really slow down the pace of the game, and not in a good way. Which leads us smoothly to the PS5 remaster. Fucking hell. Oh, what a mess this remaster is. Okay, so for the record, when I first heard that they were going to be remastering this game, I was both annoyed and not really surprised. I mean, I knew they would do this eventually, but I did think it would be at least a good year into the PS5 lifecycle. I feel the same way about the Spider-Man remaster as I feel about the Mafia 3 remaster. In Mafia 3's case, I thought the remaster a game that had only came out a mere 4 years after release was just a bit cash cow like. And I feel the same way about the Spider-Man remaster, considering the game only literally came out 2 fucking years ago. And for me, it just feels really cheap, corporate, and greedy, and a massive slap in the face for fans. I feel like they should at least make the remastered version free for people who own the PS4 version, and then full price for the people who are new to the game on PS5. I think that would at least been a bit more better. Granted, the PS5 version does actually include all the DLC, but it still doesn't leave the foul taste in my mouth. Okay, so let's talk about the facial model, which, when it was announced, definitely stirred up some controversy. Like, what the fuck is this? Like, what I don't get about this, what was wrong with the old facial model? You know, if it ain't broke, don't fucking fix it. Now, Insomniac claims they did this because the new actor Ben Jordan was a, quote, better match, whereas PlayStation Blog claims that the devs did this to, quote, to more accurately mimic Peter's voice actor Yuri Lowenthal. But looking at the old facial model in the PS4 version, played by John Budniak, I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name. I just don't get how the new one accurately mimics Yuri Lowenthal's voice. And I know I'm not alone in this one because there was quite a backlash from fans when they changed it. Many claim they did it to make the character look more like Tom Holland's Spider-Man, which looking at it now, it does seem rather sus. But again, my question is why? I mean, wouldn't it be better to separate the movie Spider-Man from the game one? I mean, I guess I shouldn't really be surprised considering that Sony does own Insomniac. They may have been pressured from their woke overlords upstairs perhaps. Now, Insomniac does claim that they did enjoy working with Boob and fuck it, I'm just gonna call him John. But at the same time, I can't help but think that they shunned John just to get this new guy in. It's the same with Capaldi and Doctor Who. The BBC claims that he left of his own accord, but I reckon they sacked him just to usher in the wokey wet wipe misandrist that is Jodie Whittaker. And I feel the same situation has happened with John and Insomniac. I suspect they sacked him just to get Jordan in, but that's not to say that Jordan won't do good in the role. I'm sure he's great in the game and I wish him all the best of luck. But at the same time, I can't help but think it's just a little bit of a polarizing change. However, I will hold off my opinion on the change until I play the remaster. Which will probably never, considering that trying to get a hold of a PS5 is like trying to find fucking gold. Though I would like to mention that I think the facial model change ruined one very important scene. Which, by the way, spoilers for someone who hasn't played Spider-Man. Which, like, seriously, what the fuck are you doing with your life that's so important that you haven't played Spider-Man yet? But the important scene in question that looks worse on the PS5 compared to the PS4 is the last scene in the game. So first, here's the original PS4 version.
Peter, I saw you as a son. I should have known you'd turn on me, just like all the others.
Turn.
I've worshipped you, your mind, your conscience, wanting to help others, the way you never gave up. That's because men like us have a duty, a responsibility, to use our talents in the service of others. Even if they don't appreciate it, we have to do what's best for those beneath us, whether they understand it or not. No, you're wrong! You are everything I wanted to be! You just threw it away! Yes, of course. You're right, Peter. Oh, I see that now. The neural interface affected my mind. But I can fix it. We can fix it together. If you'll help me.
Do everything I can. I'll make sure you get the best help.
No! If they put me away, they'll take my arms. I'll be trapped in this useless body. Please, Peter. That wasn't me. You said you'd never abandon me. You promised. Remember? And of course, you rest easy, knowing your secret is safe with me.
You do what you think is best, Doc. It's all any of us can.
Peter?
Even when it hurts like hell.
Peter, where are you going? Peter? Peter!
And this is the same scene in the PS5 version.
Peter, I saw you as a son. I should have known you'd turn on me, just like all the others.
Turn.
I've worshipped you, your mind, your conscience, wanting to help others, the way you never gave up. That's because men like us have a duty, a responsibility, to use our talents in the service of others. Even if they don't appreciate it, we have to do what's best for those beneath us, whether they understand it or not. No, you're wrong! You are everything I wanted to be! You just threw it away! Yes, of course. You're right, Peter. Oh, I see that now. The neural interface affected my mind. But I can fix it. We can fix it together. If you'll help me. I'll do everything I can. I'll make sure you get the best help. No! If they put me away, they'll take my arms. I'll be trapped in this useless body. Please, Peter. That wasn't me. You said you'd never abandon me. You promised. Remember? And of course, you rest easy, knowing your secret is safe with me.
You do what you think is best, Doc. It's all any of us can.
Peter?
Even when it hurts like hell.
Peter, where are you going? Peter? Peter!
Oof, that remastered version looks like fucking shit. Like, come on, man. Like, what did they do to my boy Pete? Like, seriously, what the fuck? Who at Insomniac thought this was a good idea? PS5 version looks like he just got sent a random dick pic that he wasn't expecting. Like, at least the PS4 version looks like it has some expression and some emotion. PS5 version just looks like a wooden stiff mess. And I have no idea how a next-gen remaster looks worse in some areas than a previous-gen version of the fucking game. It does make you wonder if the PS5 version was just rushed out or they just didn't have enough time to finish it in development. Either that or PS5 really is just wank. No idea. Regardless, I'm not a fan of the change. And as I said earlier, if it ain't broke, don't fucking fix it. Now this next one is not so much a problem per se, because it has actually been since rectified, but I still think it's worth pointing out nonetheless. So when the remaster first came out, players of the PS4 couldn't actually import their saves to the PS5 version, which meant that if you'd already 100% completed on the PS4, you'd have to do that all over again on the PS5. Now you can claim that they maybe didn't have that function ready for the remaster upon its release, but then that begs the question, why even release it if everything isn't finished yet? And considering when the PS4 version came out, it was so well polished that it was very little bugs at launch. So after receiving much backlash, Insomniac finally put the function to import saves from the PS4 version on the 26th of November last year. But again, it just begs the question, why didn't they do that from the start? Which, to me, is why I think it gives more credit that they actually just rushed this game out just to cash in on the new generation of consoles. Now, before November 26th, you actually could import your saves to the PS5 version from the PS4 if you had the PS4 disc. Now, this caused some problems because I imagine that some fans got rid of their old copies and got rid of their old consoles to get the new version of the game, or they gave it to someone else. Whatever the reason may be, it caused problems for fans. And what was Insomniac's whimsical and insightful advice? Just borrow the game from someone else. Yeah, it's kind of difficult doing that at the moment, Insomniac, considering they seem to be living under global fucking communism. They even go into someone's fucking house like Mission Impossible Operation, but without Tom Scientology Cruise going absolutely spasticate at you.
We are not shutting this movie down!
Yeah, that or the Gustavi fucking secret police will fucking tackle you to the fucking ground. It's literally like this. Hey man, you got what I asked for? Yeah. I got it. Did you make sure no one saw you enter? Of course. How green do you think I am?
Yeah, well, that's what the last guy said that he got snitched on.
Fuck. Well, anyway, I better make a dash, so... Thanks.
FBI, open up!
So before I wrap up this video, I want to briefly talk about the Miles Morales Spider-Man, DLC, I guess? You know what, I'm just going to refer to it as the Lost Legacy Spider-Man. Now, I can't say too much about the game because I actually haven't played it yet. And probably never will either. So, in conclusion, what do I think of Spider-Man PS4? Well, with all the negatives I've mentioned, they certainly do not outweigh the positive stuff. Because the good stuff is really fucking good. And I've said it before and I'll say it again, that Spider-Man PS4 is easily the best Spider-Man game since Spider-Man 2 on PS2. I was so hyped for this game, and it did not disappoint when I played it. Unlike other games. But the story, right down to the characters, is absolutely top tier. From Peter Parker all the way to J. Jonah Jameson. And every character looks, sounds, and acts like their comic counterpart, but with Insomniac's spin on it. And it really does put the MCU Spider-Boy to fucking shame. And they managed to tell a good and compelling Sinister Six story in one game. And the MCU Spider-Boy is still standing pissing his pants at the thought of fighting one villain, let alone fucking six. Like, look at Spectacular Spider-Man, which if you haven't seen that show, by the way, go fucking watch it. And if anyone is like, it's a cartoon, man, I'm never watching that, then all I can say is you're an absolute fucking drip, and I imagine you apply the same logic to all cartoons, even South Park. Anyway, in Spectacular Spider-Man, he takes on the Sinister Six like a fucking Chad. And not only did they take him on alone, he did it fucking twice. Okay, granted, the second time he did have the symbiote suit, but to be honest, it's still Peter Parker. It's still Spider-Man taking him on his own. Or hell, what about Raimi's Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire? The legend got hit by a train, battered by Sandman, and his cunt kicked in by Green Goblin. He was solid as fuck. Fuck, even Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man took on Electro and the deformed Green Goblin by himself. Like seriously, who actually thinks they're gonna do a Sinister Six for Spider-Man 3? Because I am not optimistic in the fucking slightest. And that's not a jab at Tom Holland himself. The guy's a fine actor and he seems like one of the more relatively normal cast members of the MCU. It's just how Marvel have handled his Spider-Man over the last few years I have a problem with. Spider-Man is a respected hero in his own right and has such an expansive rogues gallery that it literally rivals Batman's. And to see how optimistic and hopeful the direction of the character was going in Civil War, to see him being reduced to Iron Man's bitch boy sidekick is just both depressing and upsetting as a lifelong Spider-Man fan. And that's the beauty of Spider-Man. He was so relatable. He's just like you and me, just an average working class guy trying to make ends meet, but was gifted incredible powers. But it didn't change him. He remained who he was at heart. And that's the beauty of Spider-Man, because it shows that anyone can be Spider-Man if they are a good person and they stand up for what they believe in. That's why I adore the Raimi trilogy so much, because it just captures the essence of Peter Parker so elegantly. And it's why the words, with great power comes great responsibility, is as iconic as it is. Anyway, what did you guys think of Spider-Man PS4? Did you play it? Did you not? If you did, what do you think of it? Tell me in the comments below, or hit me up at Twitter, Instagram, and Parler at DoctorSayce's. Links will be in the description. Also, please like and share the video, and subscribe to both my YouTube and BitChute DoctorSayce's channel. Also, if you'd be so kind to also subscribe to my Hawaii Bad Boy channel on BitChute, I have some big announcements coming up for that, so stay tuned. So, you all take care, and as always guys, adios amigos, and goodbye guys. Nice. Fucking gay sheet of paper. To mention some of my favorite boss fights, the Shocker Boom. Oh my fucking lord. To mention some of my favorite boss fights, the Shocker boss fight was absolutely perfect. Some would say Shocker Boom perfect. Fucking hell. And the Mr. X boss fight was actually Mr. X, fucking hell. Nah, I'm just gonna play it hard to forget. To accurately represent Peter Parker. Fucking hell, Peter's voice more accurately. No. Oh my god. It's to quote, to more accurately mimic Peter's voice actor Yuri Lenthal. Right. Was to quote, to mimic Peter's voice more accurate. No, to mimic. Oh my god, that's why I need to get a teleprompter. To quote, to more accurately represent. No, to mimic. To quote, what the fuck is a quote? Come on, Stacey boy, you haven't got much longer of this script to do when you're done. Which at this rate will probably fucking never, considering that trying to get hold of a PS5, oh my god. Though I would like to check. Oh, fucking hell. Though, look. Fuck me. But then that begs the question if it. Oh, fuck. Anyway, what did you guys think of Spider-Man PS4? Fucking hell.